Mentioned right off the bat, we got some pretty disappointing housing numbers this morning.
Yeah, we got some surprisingly low new home sales for the month of May. We were expecting a bounce up because of that big drop in mortgage rates we saw, but we saw buyers actually pull back from new construction, and it's likely due to the affordability crisis. Again, prices just too high, even with those lower mortgage rates. And the problem is, as you said, the builders are not building enough, and specifically not enough on the lower, cheaper end of the market.
Skylar, Harvard saying there's going to be a 500,000 shortfall per year in housing built to meet new household formation demand. So, for example, last year we built 1.2 million. They say we need 1.5 million. How's that playing out?
Yeah, I mean, over the long term, what it means is that we'll continue on this, steady progression towards housing taking up a larger and larger share of your income. Housing over the long term will probably continue to grow faster than income, and that down payment will continue to be a greater and greater challenge because, again, like these markets, over the long term, it's about supply and demand, and supply is really not keeping up with the growing number of households.
Diana, yesterday we also spoke about another factor here, which is there's still a lot of investor interest in homes. There's actually interest from all cash buyers using apps sometimes to buy homes and squeezing out, maybe that first-time home buyer. So either people find some way to foot the bill for higher prices, or they come up with different solutions like renting, right? I mean, what are the alternatives?
And I was just going to say that, far be it for me to ever disagree with Harvard, but we say that we're going to see all this demand for home buying. That is 10 million over the next 10 years, more home owners. But really, we're seeing a very prominent shift to that single family rental market. And that is people saying, you know what, I can't afford the high home prices. I don't want to have this, less flexibility. I want to be able to move when I can. Even if I'm staying in a house for 4 or 5 years, they're really shifting to that single family rental, and that's why investors are so heavy into this market right now. We thought they were going to move out after the foreclosure crisis, and they're just coming in heavier and heavier because they're seeing the returns. Simple as that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if I can kind of weigh in on this one, I think that the narrative in terms of the attractiveness of the rental market is certainly there, but it has a lot to do with the barrier to getting into the for sale market. So if I think about market pressures, right, it still matters that millennials are, when they do reach those ages, they're mid-30s now. It's coming at a later age than it happened before. They're still interested in actually buying that home. That'll keep the pressure on. And to put in context kind of where Harvard is coming from, if you think about the last 10 years of first-time home buyers, that was the tail end of the Gen X generation, right? It was much smaller than the generation that's coming online. Over the next 10 years, 3.1 million more people will pass that mid-30s threshold than did over the previous 10 years.
Wow. Yeah, so but what about the baby boomers?
Structural demand.
Yeah. What about the boomers, though? Because they're going to be downsizing, and that's what's also pushing into the rental market. They're sick of owning after what they've been through over the last 10 years.
Well, that's one of the hopes. But in the meantime, they're actually downsizing at a lower rate than previous generations. More and more homes are occupied by empty nesters over time. That's one of the challenges that millennials had been having. Why there was so much pressure on prices in the first place is because that downsizing dynamic is also delayed, right?
And finally, Diana, I was just saying, but finally on this.